Going to get T. It's Stephanie White. She has had enough of what she has seen from the officials here today. Understandable frustration from Stephanie White.
Couple of possessions in a row where Leah Boston got the fouls. I thought the first one should have been on Howard. And then here, as Petty's in there, Philman kind of tosses her to the side a little bit, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back there.
What's worse, starting game one missing 6 players, or watching the referees tilt the floor against you in the biggest moment of your season? That's exactly what the Indiana Fever faced against the Atlanta Dream, and the frustration was obvious. Head coach Stephanie White lost her cool and picked up a technical foul for voicing what every fan was already thinking. So how does a team held together by tape and grit keep pushing through injuries and chaotic officiating? Was it simply bad luck or something that felt much closer to sabotage? What happened in Game 1 left fans furious, players livid, and the entire league buzzing about whether the Fever were robbed. And now the question is, do you think the Fever were robbed by the refs? Let us know in the comments below.
They have. So Caitlin Clark, Chloe Bibby right there on the bench. But then you have Sophie Cunningham, Sid Colson, Ari McDonald, all actually having to sit separate from the bench. You also have Damiris Duntes.
Imagine stepping into the playoffs, missing half your rotation before the ball even tips. How do you even compete? That was the nightmare the Indiana Fever faced, and it wasn't just 1 or 2 players. Caitlin Clark was already done for the season with a groin injury. Chloe Bibby was out with a knee issue. Sophie Cunningham and Sydney Colson were sidelined with knee problems. Ari McDonald was gone with a foot injury. And less than 24 hours before Game 1, Damiris Dantas was ruled out by concussion protocol. That's 6 key players stripped away, 6 rotation pieces gone. And yet this Fever team still had to walk onto the floor against a dream roster that was fully loaded and ready.
Got the injured reserves here with you guys, which last month, they just weren't able to travel. What does that mean to you specifically, just having them there?
Yeah, I was super excited. I think just looking at the injured squad in itself, they just have a lot of knowledge. And so for us, just being able to listen to them, taking what they see, because obviously just them watching is going to be a different view than us on that court. And so super, super happy to have them with us.
How is that fair to the players or the fans? Indiana battled through this same punishment all season just to grab the 6th seed, scratching and clawing their way with lineups pieced together like a puzzle missing half its parts. Instead of finally getting a clean slate for the playoffs, they rolled into Atlanta with more players on the inactive list than some teams even carry on their bench.
Obviously, the injured players, they haven't been able to travel, some of them, but most of them are here now. How do they help kind of from a culture-wise and with, just bringing some perspective to you guys?
Yeah, we miss them every day on the court. So to be able to have them we had our plane, in front of our plane, normally we have empty seats. It was filled on the way here. So, they bring energy, they bring light, they bring their vocal leaders, all of them. So to have them on this trip is huge. And I don't know how we're going to fit everyone on the bench. It's not that long. It's been packed recently. So I'm excited to see how we figure that out, but it'll be great to have them back with us.
And speaking of the bench, it was a sight to see. The Fever brought all 16 players, healthy or not, as a statement of unity that also highlighted the absurdity of their situation. There weren't even enough seats, with the main row filling so quickly that players in street clothes had to sit in a second row behind the actual bench like they were waiting to board a flight. And you've hit the injury lottery when you can't even fit your whole team along the sideline.
They're finally able to travel from a medical standpoint as well. So, I think having the whole group here, having those guys here gives us a little bit of a boost emotionally. And then having their perspective. You're talking about 3 point guards that are sitting on the sideline that can talk to our team in huddles, that can talk to our team, throughout the course of dead balls or when they come on and off the floor.
This is where context matters. Every other playoff team had solid second options, reliable players to rotate in when stars picked up fouls or needed a breather, but Indiana didn't have that luxury. They were leaning on whoever was left standing, patching holes with tape, grit, and prayer, and yet despite everything, they still made the postseason 2 years in a row, which speaks volumes about their resilience.
What, guys? This is my new team, the medical staff. Oh, yeah.
Sophie Cunningham might have summed it up best without even meaning to. Stuck in knee rehab. She joked that she's basically part of the medical staff now. It was a throwaway line, but it captured the absurdity of the season. a starter turned cheerleader cracking jokes to keep spirits up while knowing she should be on the floor making shots. That's the Fever in a nutshell, finding ways to smile through the pain. And the wildest part is that even with all the injuries, they came out swinging in Game 1, catching Atlanta off guard and building a lead like they were too stubborn to notice their disadvantages. But of course, it couldn't stay that simple, because just as the Fever proved they could hang despite everything, the referees inserted themselves and completely changed the direction of the game.
What the referees did, and I know why Stephanie White got a technical foul. Any coach that had to watch their team work so hard all season long, play through every single injury, and the reason why they had so many injuries is because of these referees.
Every playoff game has its swings, but nothing kills momentum faster than a whistle that makes no sense. Indiana came into Atlanta dragging the weight of 6 injured players and still struck first, jumping out to a 15-6 lead, with Kelsey Mitchell knocking down shots early and Aaliyah Boston dominating the glass and protecting the paint. The Fever were locked in, determined not to let their short-handed roster define the night. And for a moment it felt like the impossible was within reach, a broken roster threatening a fully loaded dream squad. But then the officiating started bleeding the energy right out of the game.
Ryan Howard just falls down, but it's a foul. Like, this is ridiculous. Look at this, Kelsey Mitchell. They don't even let the Fever play defense because she's associated with Caitlin Clark. Look at this one. Another foul where nobody touched him. So they lost the timeout and they lost their challenges for the game because the referees can't do their job.
That early rhythm was completely thrown off by whistles that seemed to come out of nowhere. Defensive stops that should have turned into fast breaks instead sent Atlanta to the free throw line, and clean contests were whistled as fouls. Kelsey Mitchell and others fought through screens to keep the Dream from getting easy looks, only to have the play stopped and flipped by calls that didn't make sense. And it wasn't just one mistake. It happened again and again, slowly draining away the urgency and momentum Indiana had built at the start.
The referees took it over. Look at this. Everybody saw this. Lexi Hall didn't touch her, but they had to waste their first challenge on this play. Here we go. Look at this. She gets elbowed in the face, and they call a foul on Brianna Turner. And then Lexi Hall turns around to go back on defense, but she gets charged for a foul, and they wanted to upgrade it, reviewed it.
Lexi Hall was one of the biggest victims of these phantom calls, getting tagged with a foul on Ryan Howard despite being in perfect defensive position and nowhere near illegal contact. Coach Stephanie White challenged it, and the replay confirmed what everyone watching already knew. There was no foul. She was forced to burn one of her challenges in the first quarter, something no coach ever wants to do that early, and later admitted it was incredibly frustrating to win 2 challenges so quickly because it proved the referees were clearly missing things. But with only 2 chances, she had to spend both by the second quarter just to keep her players from being buried under bad officiating. Interview 10. Meanwhile, Atlanta's physicality went unchecked as fans watched Brianna Jones throw an elbow into Brianna Turner or Brittany Griner shove Aaliyah Boston on post-ups without a call. The inconsistency made every possession a gamble. If Indiana put a body on someone, it was a foul, but if Atlanta did the same, play continued. That kind of lopsidedness doesn't just impact the scoreboard. It eats away at a team's confidence, focus, and rhythm.
Look at this. Boston gets elbowed in the face by Brittany Griner. Do you think they called it? No. And look at this. Lexi Hall did not touch her. They didn't even touch her. And she gets free throws. Here we go. Kelsey Mitchell touched her hip lightly.
By the fourth quarter, the frustration finally boiled over when Stephanie White barked at the officials after a sequence where Ryan Howard pulled on Chipetti without a whistle. The referees hit her with a technical foul for voicing the exact frustration every Indiana fan was already yelling at their TV.
Actually, talk about the physicality of this game and being it's to play out playing in such a physical game like that today.
Yeah, I mean, I think we knew coming in it's playoffs, it's going to be physical, and we're going to have to learn how to play with that, especially this team is inherently a physical team. So for us, knowing that's the case and being able to respond, I think there's things that we're able to watch in film on how to handle that better, not letting the refs determine, how that physically is impacting us, but just continuing to play through that. It's definitely something we're going to have to work on and watch film and get better at, but that's part of playoffs, and that's part of the thing that we're going to have to get better at moving forward in the series.
Odyssey Sims picked up one not long after, diving for a loose ball that should have been praised as hustle, but was instead punished, and the arena buzzed with chaos as the Fever bench looked rattled. Caitlin Clark, sidelined but present, even stepped in to calm her head coach when Stephanie White looked ready to take it further, creating a surreal image of the injured sophomore holding back the coach who had finally had enough of the nonsense. Atlanta thrived in that storm, turning the chaos into a third-quarter run that stretched the lead into a hill the Fever couldn't climb. The headlines afterward weren't about Indiana's stars, but about the officiating, leaving fans asking if the Fever were beaten by the Dream or by the referees. Yet even with all of that stacked against them, the group on the floor never stopped fighting, and that part of the story matters most.
Can't stop either. You'd think after 20 of them, look at this. So that's a foul, right? But watch when the Fever do it 2 times in a row, same exact thing. But it's not a foul when the Fever drive. Look at this. It's not a foul when the Fever get hit in the air, but the Dream get free throws. Same exact plays. Look at this one. What are you supposed to do? Just roll out the red carpet and give him a layup? She's not fouling her. They give her a 3-point play for putting your hands up.
With everything stacked against them, how do you even define success? By the final score or by the pride in how hard you fought? That was the dilemma the Fever faced in Game 1. On paper, they were outmatched, but on the court, they refused to quit, and leading the charge was Kelsey Mitchell. She poured in 27 points, a playoff career high, shooting nearly 50% from the field and knocking down almost every free throw she earned. Whenever Indiana's offense stalled, Mitchell brought it back to life. And she wasn't just scoring, she added 4 assists and even a block, doing everything possible to keep the Fever clinging to the game.
Atlanta's had a few of those last few possessions. Mitchell, catch, fire, and hit from 3. What a start. Rebound hits the floor. Hull keeps it alive for Indiana. Mitchell using the screen, dancing around Grinder, and able to squeeze it in off with.
But no matter how brilliant Mitchell was, the absence of Caitlin Clark loomed large, stripping Indiana of the one weapon that could truly stretch defenses: her ability to force opponents to guard 25 feet from the basket. Without that threat, Atlanta didn't even bother to respect the Fever beyond the arc, instead packing the paint, cutting off driving lanes, and daring secondary players to hit from distance. That lack of spacing created a brutal environment inside for Aaliyah Boston, who battled through foul trouble yet still grabbed 12 rebounds while juggling multiple defenders and avoiding whistles. Every possession felt like a wrestling match with Atlanta's frontcourt, but Boston never stopped grinding. Offensively, she was quieter, finishing with 8 points on limited looks, but her relentless work on the glass kept Indiana competitive longer than they realistically should have been.
And another chance here for Indiana.
So much length, and it's obvious on the defensive end for Atlanta.
Boston just kind of pushed it up and in. Guarded by Howard. And slide it into Boston, center of the lane, turning and finishing. Aaliyah Boston.
Lexi Hull poured out everything she had, and while 9 points won't jump off the stat sheet, every one of them mattered. She knocked down one of Indiana's few threes on a night when the rim seemed unforgiving for everyone else, chased Atlanta players relentlessly around screens, fought for loose balls, and filled the energy role that only gets noticed when it's missing. Even when her shots weren't dropping at a high rate, Hull refused to disappear, proving once again that her impact goes far beyond what shows up in the box score.
Carl Semesco emphasized first just how well she's been playing down the stretch. The efficiency has gotten much better since the second week of August, averaging nearly 20 points a game since then as Hull. 40-33, Atlanta in front. These teams split their 4 regular season meetings as Hull knocks down the 3. Hull gets a step and finishes off the window.
Meanwhile, Atlanta kept rolling out fresh bodies like a new wave every quarter, with Alisha Gray and Ryan Howard each scoring 20, Naz Hillman adding a huge lift with 16, and Brittany Griner's presence in the post drawing extra defenders and carving out space for teammates. The contrast couldn't have been clearer. One side had weapons to rotate in and out, while the other was just praying its stars could stay standing as the game wore on. Indiana shot under 35% from the field overall, and when the Dream kept cleaning up the first miss, the gap began to widen.
Mitchell digs it up beautifully. Boston lays it in.
The number of screens that Aaliyah Boston set on that possession, her stagger, pin down here. She's going to come up and set another on-ball screen, turn, re-screen action, and then finally rolls to the basket.
And yet the most impressive takeaway wasn't in the percentages. It was that the Fever never folded. They fought until the final buzzer, knowing their chance to flip the script wasn't gone, just shifted to Indianapolis. Game 2 marks their first home playoff appearance since 2016, and that alone gives this group reason to believe the fight is far from over. Now the question isn't whether Indiana has enough stars on the floor, but whether their home crowd can deliver the energy needed to spark a season-defining win.
We're competing against everyone. We're in every single game, and I think at the end of the day, we've seen in moments when we're not doing well or games that we've lost, it's really things that we can control. So making sure that we're locked in on all of those things and tidying up those little things, because if we can put together 40 minutes, we feel like we can beat anybody in the league. So we're excited about the opportunity. We're excited that the playoffs is finally here. And now, it's not about what our record was. It wasn't about teams we beat or who we didn't beat during the regular season. It's about Atlanta. It's about this game on Sunday. So that's all we're focused on, and we're really excited about the opportunity.
Picture this. The Indiana Fever haven't hosted a playoff game at Gainbridge Fieldhouse since 2016, and now they step onto that court with their season hanging by a thread. Nearly a decade of waiting, combined with a season battered by injuries, has all led to this moment. For fans, it's bigger than just one game. It's a chance to remind the league that playoff basketball in Indiana still carries weight, and the hunger inside that building will be impossible to ignore.
I think we're just really excited about it. I think last year our fans were robbed of getting to be part of the playoff experience. Watching the Pacers in playoff, the fans really do show out, and Gainbridge is loud and crazy and electric. And so to be able to host a game there and be able to bring what they've, how they've supported us so long, be able to give this to them and have a really fun one, I think we're really excited about it. And I love this new form.
The setup couldn't be more dramatic. This isn't just another game. It's the Fever's last shot to extend their run. The painful reality is they're still missing the same 6 players who left them short in Atlanta. Caitlin Clark remains sidelined. Sophie Cunningham, Sydney Colson, Ari McDonald, and Chloe Bibby are all unavailable, and Damiris Dantas is out under concussion protocol, with her return still uncertain. That leaves Indiana staring down the same depth problem with zero margin for error. Atlanta, of course, knows exactly what worked in Game 1. Swarm the paint until spacing disappears, force Indiana into rush jumpers, and lean on depth the Fever simply can't match right now. 2, 4, 15 from 3 won't cut it, and everyone in the building knows it. Head coach Stephanie White has made it clear, if this offense is going to survive, the ball has to move with speed, passes must be sharp, and there can't be wasted possessions, because Atlanta's size and length won't shrink under Indiana's roof.
That you guys are focused on the game tomorrow, but just with the change in playoff format and knowing that you guys are going to have an opportunity to play at home, does it feel differently this year at all? Even though, again, you have to get through tomorrow first.
It doesn't feel differently for me. Because I've been in all the formats. As being a player and a coach, I don't know if it feels differently for them. I'm happy for our fans, that they get an opportunity to see the team in the playoffs. I remember a year ago in Connecticut, it was like, thank God we didn't have to go back to Indiana. So I'm thankful for our fans that they're going to have this opportunity.
The burden on Kelsey Mitchell is heavy, but it can't fall on her alone. Her 27 points in Game 1 proved she's more than capable, but without another scorer breaking free, Atlanta will swarm her again and choke off every driving lane. Aaliyah Boston will battle inside, and Lexi Hull will fight for every loose ball. But someone else, whether it's Brianna Turner, Nalissa Smith, or Bria Hartley, has to emerge as a reliable option. That's where the crowd comes in. 17,000 fans can't guard Ryan Howard or box out Brittany Griner, but their energy can make every Fever run feel bigger, every defensive stop sting sharper, and every dream possession more uncomfortable. This game isn't just about survival. It's about proving this franchise can take a heavy punch, stand tall at home, and start building the momentum Indiana fans have been waiting for. Win or lose, what happens inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse will define how this playoff run is remembered.
Kelsey, given the playoff format change, you guys being able to actually host a postseason game for the first time in your career in Indiana, how much do you expect that to help you guys, to give you momentum, and how just personally excited are you for that?
Personally excited. I'll let you know when I get there. But I think it gives ourselves a chance to stay in the hunt of things we're really trying to figure out, a way to come back here whenever we would like to play again. So you're gonna have to take the necessary steps to be at your best. But I would like to think that being back at home can kind of give us a sense of comfort. So hopefully we can use it for what it's worth and not take it for granted.
This series isn't just about wins and losses. It feels like pure survival. The Fever have been battered by injuries all season, robbed of momentum by game-changing whistles, and yet they're still standing, still ready to fight. Game 2 in Indianapolis isn't just another matchup. It's the first playoff game at Gainbridge since 2016, and everything rides on it. Fever fans have to bring every ounce of energy, because this is the moment that will define how the year ends. One game can still flip the entire narrative. Will the home crowd be the spark that keeps their season alive? Do you think the Fever were robbed by the refs? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss a video. Click the one on your screen now, and we'll see you in the next one.